All right, so today we're looking at subject-verb agreement for SAT. So for the exercise, we have to determine whether the underlying verbs agree with their subjects. If not, write in the correct form of the verb. All right, so remember that usually the first noun or pronoun would be your subject because most sentences, 90% of the sentences, they follow a strict subject-verb word order. There are exceptions, of course, but try to avoid going to the middle of the sentence to find your subject unless you can justify doing so, meaning that you need to know your phrases and dependent clauses very well to cross them out. So in this case, the first word is galaxies. So that is my subject. And I can see that there are two commas here. And these are what we call inserted commas because inside I have a large chunk of non-essential information. They're just a bunch of phrases. So this is what we call intervening expression. Whenever you have intervening expression between your subject verb, a lot of students get confused because there are so many nouns thrown in between, but you have to cross them out. And then you would know that, hey, there is a mistake here because galaxies is plural. So my verb has to be appear instead of appears. All right. And the second one is the same thing. Cross out my phrases. I know that of rose, that is my prepositional phrase. I know that of a chemical plant, that is another prepositional phrase. So what is my subject? Well, my subject is the expansion, and I have conjunction and the construction. So in this case, I have compound subject, which is plural. So I have to change my verb to have led, plural. There is only one exception where a compound subject would be considered singular. And that is when our compound subject refers to the same person or the same thing. For example, if I say the young man and the driver of the car was arrested for DUI, which is driving under the influence because he was high or he was drunk while driving. So do you see how even though I have compound subject man and driver, it's actually referring to the same person. So my verb is actually was arrested, not were arrested. All right, so keep that in mind. So number three, we do the same thing, right? We cross out our phrases of Chippewa author, prepositional phrase. I can also cross out Louis Erdrich. Why? Because that is an appositive. So if you don't remember your appositive, it's simply a noun or a noun phrase that talks about the previous noun. So Louis Erdrich is our essential appositive talking about author, but our subject is actually the works, which is plural. So my verb has to be explore. Okay. And if we look at number four, we do the same thing. There's a lot of intervening expression. So I want to start by crossing out my prepositional phrase, right? Cross out of the participants, cross out in the study. So really, what is your subject? It is any. And remember, for any, this is called our indefinite pronouns. So indefinite pronouns. When you have any, anyone, anything, anybody, right? Every, everyone, everything, everybody, someone, something, somebody, you get the idea. All these, or you have each plus noun, they would all be singular, right? So in this case, is permitted, is correct. Okay, So whenever you come across all verb in your answer choices, this is the first thing you do. You look for subject-verb agreement. And the next thing you do is you look for verb tenses by looking at time keywords or surrounding verbs. And then last but not least, you would have to sometimes identify active versus passive. All right, so let's do one last one as demonstration. Same thing, cross out your prepositional phrase of the compositions. Cross out by jazz musicians. And do you see how this is the same as our number 3? Thelonious Monk is a noun talking about another noun, jazz musician. So that is our essential, a positive, and that's why I can cross it out. And what is my subject? It is actually our indefinite pronoun each. And we mentioned that, right? Each is singular. So of course, our verb needs to be seems with an S. And that is how you do your subject-verb agreement question.